Alright you guys, DGMD back at it again, just dropping knowledge down from the rafters. Welcome back. And if you're new to the channel, welcome, where the goal of the channel is to empower parents by expanding medical knowledge in order to allow them to make more well-informed medical decisions. So let's jump right in, you guys. Today we're talking about influenza virus, the flu, as well as different ways to treat it, such as Oscillococcinum, Tamiflu, Elderberry, and the flu shot, the only way to prevent it. And today is December 16th, 2018, and we're just now starting to get into the full swing of flu season. Different clinics and hospitals throughout the country report flu activity to the CDC, and in return, they publish those results on their website and break down flu activity by state. The most recent map they published is through December 8th, so they're about a week behind, but I'll go ahead and put that map up on the screen now. If I was an epidemiologist forecaster, I would say the forecast is cloudy with a high chance of flu. I'm personally going to move out to one of these Midwestern states because look, nobody knows where you guys are. You're like that kid in class who just avoids looking at the teacher and just kind of slips under the radar. Thumbs up to you guys. And first topic is the flu vaccine. It is the best and only way to prevent the flu, period. But look guys, I never said it was perfect. To find out how effective it is, I went to a Cochrane Review article called Vaccines for Preventing Influenza in Healthy Children. If you guys aren't familiar with the Cochrane Review, it is a meta-analysis database and it has some of the best evidence-based medicine that we have out there. If you guys have not seen my video on vitamin C, does it work? I would encourage you guys to go see that, where I both answer that question and I talk more about the Cochrane Review and evidence-based medicine in general. I will put a link to the video in the description below. The review looked at both types of vaccines, which are the live attenuated vaccine and the inactivated vaccine, which is the shot. The live attenuated one is the inhaled vaccine. For the live attenuated vaccine, that inhaled vaccine, the risk was cut from 18% to about 4% chance of getting the flu. So more than halved the risk. For the inactivated vaccine or the flu shot, the risk was cut from 30% to about 11%. Also, I am an employee. I do not own a practice, so I make $0 off of any flu shots. Whether or not you guys get the flu vaccine, I don't see a dime from it. Is people who are skeptical of medicine, yet completely trust in these small pharma companies. And what are the small pharma companies, you might ask? They are the supplement and the homeopathic industries that just slap the word natural on something and sell it to you guys and make millions off of you. With that said, that brings me to my next point. Oscillococcinum. Oscillococcinum is manufactured from duck heart and liver, and while it may be all natural, probably not so vegan. The article I reviewed is a Cochrane Review article entitled Homeopathic Oscillococcinum for Treating and Preventing Influenza and Influenza-like Illness. There's not a whole lot of good data out there about this topic. They reviewed 2 research articles which showed that Oscillococcinum does not prevent the flu. And then they also reviewed 4 articles which showed that it may decrease the flu symptoms starting at 48 hours. They did determine that these were low quality studies and that they could not draw a conclusion from these studies. So here's what the small pharma industry did. They took that study, ran with it, they jam it down your throats, they tell you it prevents the flu, it treats the flu, when we don't really know that for sure. I like to read a statement published on the CDC website. So this states, there is no strong evidence that echinacea, garlic, Chinese herbs, oil of oregano, or eucalyptus essential oil prevent or treat colds, or that homeopathic product Oscillococcinum prevents or treats influenza or influenza-like illness. No good evidence. So like that, there might be some studies out there that say that it does, not good evidence. Next up is elderberry. There's some evidence that elderberry can decrease the symptoms of flu. They have shown that elderberry has killed the flu virus in laboratories and that it also helps prevent flu-like illness in animal studies. Now, both of those are some of the worst types of evidence-based medicine there are. Very hard to draw conclusions on how it will react in humans. Based on those studies. There are also a handful of human studies that did show that it can decrease the symptoms of the influenza illness. So bottom line, elderberry may decrease the symptoms of the flu. More research has to be done before a general statement like that can be made definitive. One small thing to mention, the bark, root, and leaves of the Sambucus plant can cause cyanide poisoning. So let's hope you trust that non-FDA regulated small pharma company enough to handle that elderberry extract. The last treatment we're talking about today is Tamiflu or oseltamivir. It is an antiviral medication to fight the flu virus. It works best if it's given within the first 48 hours of illness. It is recommended for children who are high risk for flu complications, which are children less than 5 years, especially children less than 2 years of age, children with a history of any kind of chronic medical condition, including asthma, diabetes, seizures, and also children who are immunosuppressed or immunocompromised. A Cochrane Review article that looked at 20 different studies about Tamiflu showed that it does decrease the symptoms of the flu by about 24 hours. However, Tamiflu was not shown to prevent hospitalizations or prevent complications from the flu, such as sinusitis, pneumonia, ear infections. The most common side effects found in this study were nausea and vomiting. They did also find an association with headaches, kidney injury, and psychiatric symptoms. And then I'd also like to read a excerpt from the CDC on the side effects of Tamiflu. This is from their website. There have been reports of self-injury or delirium among persons with influenza who take oseltamivir, which is Tamiflu. Most of these reports have been in teenagers from Japan, and it is not certain whether oseltamivir or the influenza virus was responsible for these behavior changes. And what they mean by that is with an influenza infection, you can get a viremia, where the influenza virus is in the bloodstream. It can cross over through the blood-brain barrier into the brain and cause a mild type of meningitis that usually does clear up on its own, but that can potentially cause some psychiatric symptoms, including delirium, hallucinations, that kind of thing. And they're saying that it's not clear whether or not these psychiatric symptoms were actually due to Tamiflu or due to the influenza virus itself. Just because they have found an association does not necessarily mean that it's a cause. So there's the saying, association does not equal causation. But it is important to keep in mind. All that being said, the CDC still does recommend Tamiflu. It's one of the few medications we have to fight the flu. And I would especially recommend it for those high-risk populations that we talked about earlier. I hope you guys found today's talk informative. I will put links to everything we talked about down below, and I will splat some new medical knowledge on you guys later.